Hi there, Kandi kids. I'm Orgasmo, and today I'm going to be showing you how to start off the peyote stitch for the project. I'm only going to be doing this 1/4 scale, which means it's going to be 12 beads instead of 48. Okay, I'm doing that in order to save time. The stitch is exactly the same. I assure you it'll go full size. If you guys want me to make a full size one, I will. I just personally think it's a waste of time, but I can if you guys want me to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our string. This is the length. It's roughly about an arm's length. That's kind of important because you don't want to be running through string over and over and over and over and over again. You want to be able to pull once, have it come all the way through. You're good. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tie off. Gonna put the bead on. Put a bead on the string and tie a simple overhand knot. Okay? What this does is this prevents us from losing any beads when they go all the way down to the other side. This works for singles, this works for doubles, this works for any time you're starting anything. This is a lifesaver. You're never gonna have that, oh crap, I just dropped beads all over the floor, if you do that one tiny little simple step first. So the first thing we're gonna do, we have our bead at the end of our string that we're going to put on 12 more. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 beads. I generally speaking group them in 4 when I'm counting them. But there we go. We have 12. You always want to make sure on that first row that you have it exact. Because you can't really change it afterwards. You can, it's really difficult though. Okay, so we have this. And we're going to go ahead and put a 13th bead on there. Then we're going to run through what's actually the 3rd bead on that. So when we tighten it, you can grab it by the middle bead or the one you run it through, just let go of the other side like that, and pull. And just keep pulling until it comes back up. Like so. What you'll have is your classic 2-1 start. Then you'll repeat the process. You put another bead on and go through it again. Then you'll repeat. And repeat. And because this one's only 12, we're going to be adding 6 more rows, or 6 beads on each time that the string goes back and forth across. So with that, that's already 5. Now, as you notice, this is already starting to curl a little bit. That's normal. That's fine. You want that to happen. That's only going to happen on the very first row, and that's because we're not doing knots. There's a couple of different ways you can start peyote stitch or multi-stitch, however the fuck you want to call it. The same shit. Just people call it different things. So there we go. So we have 6. Okay? So you have 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. This is where that high definition really comes in handy, huh? Okay. So, well, we have this. Now we're going to go ahead and do the next row. Put a bead on. You just run it through that bead that you just put on. Standard peyote stitch stuff. For those of you that aren't familiar with peyote stitch or multi-stitch, or whatever you call it, for those of you guys that aren't that familiar with this, I'll do a more in-depth one a little bit later on, but this is just to get you guys started. Those of you that have materials, although I think only one of you does as of this filming, but I should be giving out some more kits this coming weekend. So, as you can see, I'm just going through. Now, the thing about this particular type of string is, if I were to, okay, you see how I have 4 beads on this row here, on the top row, the row that I'm doing? If I were to pull it really, really tight, there's a good chance that this 4th or this 3rd bead would actually get sawed in half and break. I know that sounds really weird, but that's what happens with this particular type of string. You can only tighten 2 beads at a time. Might seem like a downfall, and maybe it is, but I've sort of gotten used to it over the course of a decade. Okay, so I only tighten 2 beads. Squeak, or Becca Lima actually, was the one who reminded me of this fact a couple of days ago, and yeah, it will happen. So when you tighten it, you only want to tighten 2 at a time. It's not the string that breaks, it's actually the bead, and it happens from the friction, and it just saws it right the hell in half. Now, let's see here. So since we're doing 12, I could possibly show you guys the no knot technique, although I think I'm gonna wait until tomorrow. If you notice, it's starting to straight out a little bit. It still has a slight curve. If you notice, it curves this way, just ever so slightly. And what causes that is the fact that you have tension that's tight on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings through, but not on the very first one, because that's what this is. Yeah, you can go back and you can tighten that. And loosening up this one, loosening up this one, loosening up this one, loosening up this one, and then tightening it. Then pulling it back, and pulling it back, and pulling it back. And then it'll be perfectly 100% straight, okay? Not really necessary. I can always go back and retighten things. I'm not that concerned about it. What I am concerned about is where you're continuing off of, the top of it, is definitely going to be extremely tight, okay? Pull it as tight as you can get. I promise you, you're not going to break this string. If you notice, it has next to no elasticity. This one does slightly, and it's only because it's only 12 line. On the full size 48, you're not going to see that happen, as long as you tighten it up all the way through. I can't think of anything else. If you guys want some more details on this, I'll be more than happy to explain anything else in higher detail. But like I said, this is just one of the ways that you could start it. If you want to start it using knots, a lot of people like to do that, and that's let's see, grab some string. What some people will do is they'll take it, and then they'll put 2 beads on, and they'll do 1, and they'll put 1 on each side, okay, and then you tighten it up, it's gonna look like this, okay, and what a lot of people will do is they will do an overhand knot. And then they will do the other overhand knot, square knot. Okay. In order to make it so that way they don't have to worry about the tension or tightening it or anything else like that. This is okay too. While I'm trying really hard not to have knots in this entire project. I understand that some will be inevitable, and I'm already asking you guys a lot by working on this project, so if you guys are more comfortable using knots, that's okay. I can live with that. Not to mention, it's really easy for me to just take them out and rebeat it if I deem it necessary, but I probably won't. To continue on this, you would just put a bead on, 2 more, 1 on each side, of course. 1, and then 2, 1 on each side again. So that way, when it comes all the way down, and you tie your overhand knot. You have the same thing again, okay? There are a couple of reasons why I don't personally do this, and it's because the string route gets a little wonky and it actually swaps sides whenever you do a knot. It's a lot harder to do what I would call a Kandi surgery, which is like really advanced technique type stuff where I can rework pieces of peyote into other pieces and things like that. Generally speaking, if you're going to go by and you're going to redo a section of peyote stitch, you don't want to run into times where you've done this. I learned that lesson the hard way on my coat. I'd probably say 2/3 of my coat doesn't have knots in it, but some of it still does. And the parts that does have knots are a huge fucking pain in the ass. Let me tell you. Okay? My hat was not made. My top hat wasn't made with knots. My visor was. That's only because it's 4 wide. I can go into detail on that later. Probably will. Other than that, I think that's about it for right now. If you guys have any more questions on starting it, feel free to let me know. Those of you guys that are getting the kits, you guys can't pull the string too tight. Now, if you guys are like super strong or something and manage to fucking snap it or something, big deal. There's extra beads and extra string in all of the kits. I think there's like 300 or something extra beads and several extra yards, so I wouldn't worry about it all that much, okay? I think that's it. I think I've covered everything for at least being able to start it. Like I said, if it's loose or whatever, I can go back and I can tighten it and things like that. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions about anything as far as this goes, or if you guys want to see me do an entire 48 long, I can do that as well. So as of today, right this second, I don't have the time. But in any event, yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and until tomorrow, you guys have a good one. Bye.